him on it, it helped him to realize that of what he was doing, and that's kind of why he also stopped smoking.
Hmm.
That's why he stopped doing a lot of things. After a while, he stopped spanking us, but I joked about it being correlated with the fact that I started to get just as tall as he was. Uh, but it was also he was also there if we ever needed it. When it came down to it, when we were in trouble
Okay.
and we needed something, he would be there to help take care of it. If we were having trouble in school, which is the main problems we had, he would help take care of that. My brothers and that's kind of what all of our brothers would do is they would take care of. We get in fights. They would we would fight our own battles, but they would help us if the fight got too far, of where it was a clear who won the fight.
Uh,
Um,
well, I'm not going to interrupt you too long, but I'd like to ask somebody to check on the stream. I'm getting what looks like two different audio feeds, and I'm not sure if it's broadcasting correctly. So if somebody could just double check that for me.
I'm trying.
So anyway, boom, you can continue.
yeah, give me, yeah. But yeah, it's my dad took us fishing, he took us camping, did a lot of stuff with us. So you get the bad stuff, but you also get the good stuff. Um, Eventually, after the points of now this is early childhood, so this is starting out of him being a parent for me. I'm about like 10 at this time. He going forward from this starts adopting a policy of what ha- of as long as you're honest, as long as you tell the truth about what happened, and you let me know what happened when you're in trouble, and don't lie about it, you won't get a spanking. That was the policy. If you lie and they find out about it, or they already know, which was most of the time they already knew you lied, or you were lying, because somebody had already told them. And that policy was a real easy way to develop snitches in the household, because because when we did stuff, we all did it together. And so when they asked like who broke the fish tank, um, they would always ask me, and that's something I was always known for, which was being honest about pretty much everything. It didn't even occur to me whether or not we were getting spanking. It was just being honest. But I preferred not to get spanking, so um, I had been honest about it. And what I didn't know is that my brothers had when my brothers would lie about stuff. So it was basically like being taken into separate witnesses and then giving your testimony. Um, you wouldn't know who lied about stuff until after the fact of whoever got the spanking. Most of the time, it was my brothers who lied and got the spanking, and I ended up not. So yeah. And then it would switch. My brother Patrick would end up being the first one to come tell the truth. And so on and so forth.
Right. I don't know if it's a sign of how sheltered I grew up, but I think that's the first story someone tells me that where their parents were physical with them, and in times of physical corporal punishment and stuff. I don't think I know a friend that actually at least said so, like that he went through that. That's kind of strange because I mean there are so many things in the world that I've never actually even come in contact with that I know from, because, like, for example, my grandfather would have stories about being beaten. But that's how far back you had to go. Anyways.
Not sure I was no stranger to getting a whooped arse now when I'd earned one, like, do you know what I mean? But I never held it against my dad. He always waited to calm down first. He never smacked me out of anger. He always made sure he was calm and reasonable before he gave me a arse whooping.
Yeah, unfortunately,
I got my share too, and it's funny because I say that, but in my household it was mostly my mother that would try that crap. But my father tried when I was fairly young and tried pulling out that old belt, and then the day I turned around and went after him with my belt, it stopped.
Yeah, there's always that, isn't there? There's always the, okay, now we're at a point where I'm old enough, big enough, and ugly enough to fucking just don't.
Yeah, there was that. But I did actually confront my dad about it, and he said he was sorry for getting physical with some of the times that he did, because some of the times it was purely out of anger. Ended up getting my mom to apologize for every time she smacked us, it was out of anger. That was it. That's the line she drew. I'm pissed. I'm going to smack you. Sometimes on the face. But yeah, and it was harder to get her to apologize about it than it was to get my dad to apologize about it. But also he apologized about mocking kids. So
sure.
Okay. There may not be a little bit of problem with the audio on the feed. If anyone is watching that would like to let me know. Basically, on my end here, I have a little volume bar, and when people are talking in the Hangout, it's showing my volume bar and the Hangout volume bar both going. So, if there is any reverb in there, just let me know at some point. Anyway, back to movies briefly though, because my son and I actually.
I just want to let you know, when I got that apology, I never said anything to my dad about it again. Like that's what let me.
That's where you left it then, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Just briefly back to movies. Just because I was hoping to put this.
Owen piss on everything.
Right, I was hoping to put this toward the beginning of this. My son and I did actually see the Godzilla movie on Friday.
How did it do?
Well, if you remember the old formula from the early Godzilla movies, where they focus a lot on the human element involved there. When, they have all the build-up and it's a while before they really reveal what it looks like and this kind of stuff. They did quite a bit of that with it. So they did a fair amount dealing with the human side of it. Then they dealt with the monster side of it. Now, in terms of the monsters, they didn't spend so much time focusing on the monsters as they were destroying things. It was more, this is what's going on with the humans and here's the monsters in the background. So it was more organic in terms of that to a degree. And they did, of course, show some segments of the fighting, but a lot of it was like, oh, here's this place that's been destroyed by them. Yeah. And in that sense, they followed a lot of the kind of formulas of the early Godzilla movies, which I kind of liked. The changes they made to Godzilla, though, were kind of weird. Because structurally, his head's flatter, he still has a spine, but that motherfucker, apparently over the last years that he hasn't been doing movies, has packed on the fucking weight. He's become a real fat ass. Man, they should have put him on a diet first. And really, yeah, man, and he's sitting there fighting the other monsters and this and that, and he really didn't have the muscle he had before. He just got fat and lazy over the years, apparently.
Get a.
There were some great scenes, though. They treated him more like an animal. They had him fighting more like a bear than like the quasi-cat dog kind of fighting that they used to have him doing, which was kind of interesting. He only used the breath thing a couple times. But all in all, with the way that they structured it, I think they actually did it pretty damn good. I think they kept to some of the older formulas. And I've heard that some people have been complaining that there's not enough monsters, and some complaining there's not enough humans, which says to me they must have gotten a good balance.
Right.
Well, I have a friend who's a huge Godzilla fanboy, and he went to see the premiere, of course, on Friday. And he told me, he told me pretty much the same thing you just said.
Yeah.
And I was going to add, he was actually pretty pleased with it.
I was too.
Bryan Cranston's performance was good. He said the other actors in general, though, were pretty terrible. He said the lead actor, male, was awful. And there's a kid, perhaps, in the movie that was also really bad.
The kid was in there really briefly.
But yeah, he said Bryan Cranston was good, but there's a lot of bad acting.
Well, that's also part of the formula for Godzilla movies now, isn't it?
Yeah, but I imagine when it's subtitles from Japanese actors, you don't notice as much, you know.
Yeah, I mean the acting was mediocre, I'd say. I wouldn't necessarily say bad, but I'd say certainly mediocre.
Oh, considering that all the Japanese people would go, "Oh look, it's Godzilla!
Oh, Godzilla!
Oh, we're gonna die!" With
Gojira!
apathetic look on their face. I don't think they really had the greatest acting skills. The other thing is that the reason he may be using less of his power in the movies is sort of kind of that limitation that you have. Well, it may be a giant beast, but it doesn't mean it has unlimited power.
Well, the thing is that the very first time they do the breath weapon, first off, it was kind of funny because my son goes, it's about... Now, my son, mind you, is going on 11 now. He goes, it's about time he used that. Which I thought was absolutely hilarious. But they didn't do the usual, whoop, everything lights up and breathe. It was... whoop, 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 as the scales start going up. Which a part of me thought was funny because they made it sound almost mechanical with the way they had the sound effects going. But at the same time, it was this kind of gradual build, like he hadn't done it for a while, which is part of where he's really fallen out of shape over the last 10 years since they did the last movie came in.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of like,
well... It paid off there, like, it paid off.
It did pay off. They did a great job with it. It is actually one that I think was worth seeing in the theater, which... As much as Pacific Rim job I saw in the theater with my kid to get the whole experience... Among the general cheese factor was the fact that they had such massive volume level problems with that. Because you have the people that are sitting there talking, and then you have the effects! Kind of, it was one of those things. My son's like, and he's really sensitive to really loud noises, so that was miserable for him. But this one he didn't have that problem with.
I meant, thank you, but I also meant payoff for the actual breath blast.
Oh yeah. Actually, the way that they did it, it was okay. There was a time period that it was this weird little that you could tell how crappy the effect was. That it just like it went here and kind of ended. And then there were the later ones in which it just kind of would go on through the fucking stratosphere if you wanted it to. This one, the way they did the dynamics of it with the effects, it made it seem almost like it was a fluid, which was interesting. They made it because some, instead of it just being, some it's supposed to be atomic death breath. So they did something a little bit different with it because they used kind of a particle effect for it that almost implied liquid.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that kind of would make sense considering he has to draw it from somewhere to, that hole going through his spine essentially could be like a connecting tube thing.
Now, mind you, I'm trying to discuss this without any real spoilers. If people want those, they can get them. But in terms of the, so to speak, payoff of the breath weapon, the second time he uses it, the payoff's fun. And I will say that much. The first time it's just kind of like, oh, he's using it. Hey, it's doing something. But the second time it's like, but there's one scene that's absolutely great because Godzilla's, well, even though they treat him like a force of nature, he's also basically an animal. And they do a really good job at characterizing the behavior of these different things as animals. The other creatures show up and Godzilla returns to the scene, so to speak, after them having seen him years ago, because he's hunting them. It's like, oh, here's something to hunt. I'm going to go on the fucking hunt. And because of that, he kind of ends up basically saving the day. But there's this one scene that's really worth the trouble, that you have all these aircraft carriers. In the middle of the aircraft carriers, you have Godzilla swimming. And the aircraft carriers are just kind of there going along with him. He doesn't give a fuck that they're there. He just, I'm going for a swim. Hey, what are these weird-looking fish? Fuck them, don't care. They don't smell like food. Ooh, I know where the food is. And then he fucking bolts, and they're like, we can't speed up enough. So, I mean, there are a couple scenes in there that are really worth watching because it's just not quite Godzilla as you imagine him, more as Godzilla as more the animal in theory that he would be, which is an interesting take on it.
There's a lot of ways to get the monster film very, very wrong. And it's not hard to find those. But I always enjoy more the ones where they get the monster film really, really right. And a couple of good examples of that, and it sounds like Godzilla's going to be one of those. But a couple of good examples would be, if you haven't seen it, Reign of Fire. Very, very good film. Don't make
The
that
dragons?
face. With the dragons, yes.
Sorry.
Excellent film. Sorry, you know, we're fine. Matthew McConaughey, in a role I actually thought he was very good in.
Does he have his shirt off?
Consistently.
Of course he fucking does.
No, Matthew McConaughey, he's very good in that role. The monsters being the dragon. When they make it about the people, that's when it's well written, and that's what Reign of Fire was about. When it was less about just monsters pounding the hell out of each other for whatever reason, that's boring. I mean, you could look at that, like, you know what I mean? It's just entertainment. But Reign of Fire was about the people, and with these monster films, and it sounds like when you got Godzilla, there's this weird sort of problem in the story, written right there in the story, and it depends how the writers deal with that problem, which is, as soon as Godzilla's killed all the monsters, there's still going to be one left.
Yeah.
So how they work that problem into the narrative?
Actually, if I can address that for a moment. First off, one thing that they do is, and I have to make this little criticism first, there's a lot of fake Godzilla deaths. There's a lot of fake outs with that. There's like 3 of them, which is kind of shit. Now, the Godzilla fanboys, knowing the other movies, would know about the whole G1, whatever the fuck it is, Godzilla regeneration factor thing. So the fanboys will get why he's allowed to basically keep coming back after dying. But essentially, the way they dealt with that is, when they first were doing the whole experimentation and whatnot with nuclear weapons, they woke up all these creatures they woke up this massive creature that had lived back in the days when there was all this radiation in the air and everything fed off radiation. Now, he had appeared for a while. They tried to kill him. They even tried to kill him with a nuke. And then after a while, he just kind of disappeared. Went dormant for whatever reason. And then once these new monsters came, feeding on radiation and all this other stuff, he woke up to chase after them. So it's almost like he's been hibernating for like 50 years or so.
Sure, and he only shows up after the monsters show up, and after they're all gone, he'll go back into hibernation until the world needs him again. Sure, it's actually quite a clever way of doing it.
Yeah, he sat there, he went, attacked the monsters, he kicked the crap out of them. In theory, he would have eaten them, but they didn't show any of that. And then he just says, then, I'm not going to ruin the end, but at the end of it, it's basically he could come back.
Sure.
If needed again, kind of thing, which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, if we need to sell more toys.
But, okay, fuck it, I'm going to ruin that little part of the ending, because I don't think anyone's going to buy it after the other 2 fake outs. There's a sequence basically when it's like, oh no, Godzilla's dead and there's dust all over him, oh. And then as they're sitting there and they have like their little titles on the newspapers and stuff, Godzilla saved us? ? Kind of thing. And they have, oh no, Godzilla's dead. And Godzilla opens his eyes and goes, oh fuck. Gets up and just kind of saunters to the water, goes in and just swims away. But at the point that Godzilla got up, the people in the theater actually applauded. So they apparently did a good enough job building Godzilla himself as a character that people identified him enough to be like, yay, when he got up.
Yeah. Whereas with the last film, where he was almost exclusively the bad guy, you still felt kind of sad to see him get hurt, but he was exclusively the bad guy in the film.
Yeah. And in this one, they gave a little bit more motivation to technically to all the monsters.
Oh, wait, the Jurassic Park one, you mean?
Yeah.
The Matthew Broderick affair, yes.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fish.
Yes.
Thank you.
The Zilla movie mislabeled Godzilla. If they hadn't called it Godzilla, and the thing is, a friend of mine was like, no. You are not seeing that fucking movie on my watch. I'm like, no, it'll be fine. They're like, what do you mean? You like Godzilla. You already looked at this and said that that's not Godzilla. I said, no, it's not Godzilla. Some idiot in the film refers to it as Godzilla. That doesn't make it Godzilla. Just some idiots called it by the wrong name. And on that basis, it's not technically a horrible movie. It's not a fucking Godzilla movie, but
I liked how the trailer campaign went for the Godzilla film. I thought that was very good.
yeah.
That was it's very interesting. That one, the one teaser trailer they released in the beginning with the people jumping out of the airplane with the flares.
Oh, that was beautifully done. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole trailer scene was like, wow, and they've got like this monologue going on in the background. Like, wow, this is actually looking really cool. Yeah.
Actually, one thing I will point out is there were a lot of scenes that were in those teasers and the trailers and what have you that weren't in the movie.
Really?
Yeah. How's that for rare?
Yeah, that almost never happens.
And
They
I
normally
was
show you
actually
the
pretty
entire
stoked by
film in the
that.
trailer.
But yeah, I mean, they came up with new scenes just for the sake of some of the trailers, and I thought that was great.
Do you know what? I'm actually looking at pictures and stills from the film, and I have to say,
You're a bit hard.
yeah, a little bit. Well, he actually does look like he does have this sort of thing, especially around the neck. Where
He
he's
looks
just
like he put on too much fucking weight and needs a
he
diet.
looks
Yeah,
ever so slightly chubby.
yeah, he got fat. Got thunder thigh. He's out of shape, man.
Ever so slightly chunky. Yeah.
And
just
as
the
a
weirdest way.
as an old school Godzilla fan, there are points at which he's kind of getting his ass kicked, and there's some, there'll be like one of the two monsters is attacking him from the backside, and he's kind of doing this kind of thing. I'm like, well, if you went on a fucking diet and didn't pack on so much weight, you wouldn't have this problem. And I said that at one point, and my son turns to me and goes, "Yeah, he does need a diet."
Are you looking at this? It's just so strange. Like, he just looks like, wow, when did you get fat?
Yeah, that was my reaction too. It was, man, he's out of. Yeah, that joke was actually pretty legitimate based upon the way they redesigned him. Got fat in his old age.
He just, he's been doing it a number of years. You know what I mean? You're gonna get a bit worn out.
Yeah, I mean he's grown. Another. He's gained like 50% of his height, but he's doubled in weight. This is what happens, man. Yeah, sure, you're taller than you used to be by 50 meters, but you've gone from 110 meters to 150, 160 roughly, but you've doubled in weight. Dude, that's too much. You're obese. You're morbidly obese. Lose the weight, Godzilla.
Yeah. One thing I found that especially with the last Godzilla movie, is that one thing that consistently had a problem with was its perspective of size, how big the animal actually was.
Yeah.
In the last film, the Matthew Broderick film, he went from, like, even as a kid I noticed, like, he went from being huge to not quite as huge as you thought he was, but then he was a bit bigger, like, you know what I mean? He went from towering over buildings to being able to climb the Sears Tower, like, and I'm like, well, how big is this thing actually?
Yeah.
It kind of ruins the suspension of disbelief if I have to question how big it is.
They had, I think, a total of 2 scenes where that kind of came into play in this one.
Sure.
That you're sitting there going, wait a minute. And some of it's a perspective thing. There's one shot that the soldier is supposed to be looking up as Godzilla's coming by, and Godzilla roars, but with a camera angle, his head, it just looks like Godzilla's smaller in that one shot. And I think it's because of how much of him they were trying to fit in the frame.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah.
Oh my god, he looked terrible.
Doesn't he?
Oh, I'm looking the Godzilla 98. I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at.
Oh, no. That one was a piece of shit. Go to, okay.
Oh my god, what is that?
No. That's Zilla. That's not Godzilla. That was a fuck up.
Yeah, that thing, whatever. But
Yeah.
who was there and I'm like, oh, this is our concept art. Yeah, let's go with that one.
That one was a mutant. Yeah, I don't fucking know. That was just some fucking iguana. That wasn't Godzilla.
Oh, iguana. Brilliant.
Now,
Yeah, that's exactly
round about 2000, they did some actual Godzilla movies from like 2000 2002, and one of them was Godzilla Final Wars. And in that one, there's a scene in Australia, which is really worth watching, that they're referring to Zilla. And wait a minute. Didn't the Americans mistake that for Godzilla a few years back? And they're like, yeah, they did. And Godzilla shows up, and Zilla's like, roar, and goes to charge him, and Godzilla just like, hits him with his tail, knocks him into a building, goes, and that's it.
Oh, you know
2
what?
second fight.
I heard that. That's fucking brilliant.
There were a couple of cool scenes in that Godzilla movie that we all bitch about. There was a number of awesome
there
scenes.
wasn't.
No,
There
no,
wasn't.
come on. When the
hang on,
helicopters are
hang
chasing
on.
them and they go through a hole in the building to chase him, like I thought that was a good scene.
No.
No,
It wasn't a Godzilla film, though. This is what I'm saying. The Americans were confused, called it something it wasn't. That's all. That's how I'm able to look at that film and enjoy it.
That's a cool stunt. It's not a good scene.
I do see what you mean when you say that Godzilla in this one's kind of got he's
Yeah, the
kinda-
2014 Godzilla. He's packed it on, man. He's way out of shape.
Well, he's in America. You have to realize that he's been with America for too long.
Keep going down that
Stop by a
KFC.
Taco Bell.
He ate at a couple Taco Bells.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to clean that mess.
But, you know, as American-made Godzilla movies go, yeah, this one they did well. The first one, of course, was a total utter piece of shit. Wasn't a fucking Godzilla movie. It was just this big fucking reptile movie. This one counts as a Godzilla movie. This one was good. Or at least good enough. It lacked some of the stereotypical cheese of the usual Godzilla things. They tried to make I don't want to say physics, because that's really the wrong words, but some of the kinetic movement, etc., involved with the monsters, they did a good job with that. They actually did. The one thing that did kind of get me is how they did the eyes of the other two kaiju, the Mutos, whatever the fuck they call them. The way that they did the eyes on them was kind of off-putting to me. It looked menacing, but it wasn't an eye. And I didn't know what the hell to make of it. But anyway, that's a personal thing.
Sure, yeah. It doesn't help. It doesn't help the movie any that it's there.
Yeah, it was one of those things that's like, well, that's interesting and kind of menacing, but is that supposed to be its eye, or what the fuck is it?
Yeah, well, I don't even know what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, that was kind of how I was feeling, yeah. It's like, look, it's a volcanic vent in the side of its head.
Yeah, I think the bit with the
Yeah, that was the anus.
Could have been.
Butthole. I think the bit with the 98 Godzilla film that lost me was when the baby Godzillas started showing
Oh,
up.
that was such a
that was
good
the
too,
worst.
yeah.
We're done.
Yeah.
That's the Jurassic Park part of it. And I'm like, okay, so we're going against the Velociraptors.
Is this happening right now?
Yeah, I mean,
I hide in a reflective fucking cabinet.
the couple that were released around about 2000 through 2002, they were pretty generic Godzilla films. There was one of them that featured Mothra and King Ghidorah, and that one, as far as I'm concerned, was a piece of shit because I've always hated Mothra. And Mothra being there to save the fucking day, give me a fucking break.
Yeah.
But at the same point, Mothra did end up taking a dive in a spectacular fashion, and that was fine until they decided to try and add plot. In that weird quasi-spiritual, he had to do that so King Ghidorah could inherit his power, whatever the fuck, stupid get out of here. The other two that they came out, one of them involved a mecha, which the Mecha Godzilla thing was done a little bit differently and it was kind of amusing. And it was alright, but Final Wars, to me, out of the three of them that came out in that time period, that one I liked. And the reason why I liked it because it was almost entirely the stupid, cheesy bullshit. Here are the aliens come to take over the world, and they've mind-controlled all the monsters, but Godzilla says, fuck you, motherfucker, I'm going to kill all these bastards, and wanders the world fighting every fucking monster that he's ever fought before. And that I loved. You know, it was just...
Yeah.
It was basically like porn for people that liked old Godzilla films. It was nothing but monsters fighting.
Sure,
Fuck
yeah.
the plot. We can put the dumbest plot in here in the world and you'll watch it anyway. You just want to watch Godzilla kick the shit out of stuff. And that was fun.
Sure, and it is supposed to be fun. Like, that's kind of the point.
Yeah. And this particular one, they took it a little bit more serious than I'm used to with Godzilla movies, but that's okay too. I've gotten used to, the Godzilla era when Godzilla was your buddy kind of thing, and they ended up going off the fucking rails with that when he was more the protector. But they brought in enough of that and gave him realistic enough motives that I think they pulled it off.
What is he trying to push the idea that Godzilla can dig too? Like, you know, he hides underground, but something that massive just can't dig deep enough. Like, I don't know. I still
Oh,
like it.
they didn't pull that shit in this one. He was just somewhere in the bottom of the ocean. They don't know where. Monsters came. He just showed up. He just surfaced basically and said, "Roop, "Okay, I'm swimming."
In New York, I'd imagine.
No. He was actually heading towards L.A., but he popped up somewhere in the Pacific. It's like, oh, we spotted him. Let's bring all our aircraft carriers here.
Not a single fuck given. Give a shite. Yeah.
But the one thing that they handled in this one that was different than pretty much most of the others, there have been so many others that, you know, what the humans do has an effect on the battle, so to speak. And they usually do something just, you know, once again, the Deus Ex Machina.
This might be it.
Yeah. They do something along those lines, as you know, like the other monsters are being controlled by aliens, and you kill the aliens, or something dumb like that.
Yeah.
In this one, you know, the fight's not going well, so they destroy where the other monsters laid its eggs or something. And then the other monster's like, oh, my babies, and goes rushing off. And Godzilla gets a chance to get a moment to rest.
Oh, fucking here we go.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, at least they did something that made some sense as to why, you know.
Sure. This is what happens when the screenwriter can't figure out what to do.
Well, this is what happens when you want to make it look like he dies like 3 fucking times.
Right. Dear me. There's a couple of movies. I mean, yeah, and I enjoy the monster movie genre. Just, you know, sometimes I have a hard time with it.
But yeah, I mean, but that's the kind of thing. Is at least the couple of occasions when the other monster was like, yeah, and left him alone for a moment. At least there was something that was a justifiable reason instead of the usual.
Sure, makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, as with all of the movies of the genre, there are certainly problems, but it was definitely fun.
Yeah, just,
And for what it is, they did a great job.
Yeah, it's one of those movies where it's just like shut up, relax, and try and enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to be you don't want to be sitting next to the one asshole that's like, well, you know, in accordance to physics, his bones would have to be made out of diamond. Fuck off.
Oh, fuck off! Yeah, you don't know how to enjoy yourself. Shut up.
I mean, I have moments like that. For example, I always like to cite War Games. I had a problem with because of the acoustic coupler, and that really, for me, kind of fucked up the movie. And it's a stupid thing to fuck up a movie, and I will acknowledge that. But
Sure,
for me, it
yeah.
kind of did. I'm like, you know, we had devices that they could have used. They should have had somebody advise them. And for me, that fucked it up. But I didn't go in there. I went in there expecting to see a movie about some kid hacking into the Pentagon. I didn't go in there expecting to see a movie with somebody sitting there and saying, well, I've got a computer and I have this little cradle that you stick the phone in, that you have to manually hang up the phone still.
Anytime anybody does anything with a computer on television or film, I flip a table.
Yeah. I mean, there's one of the CSI.
Anytime anybody does anything, rather.
There's one of these CSI shows that I'm sitting there watching it. My wife looks at me. She goes, "Are you enjoying this?" I said, "Yeah, kind of fun." She's like, "So all of their weird computerized effects with with like the ridiculous hologram kind of thing represents a computer. You don't mind that?" I'm like, "No, this takes place in the year 2100." She goes, No, it doesn't. I said, "Shut up! This takes place in the year 2100." Only way I can enjoy it is pretending it's somewhere in the future.
No enhance. Now rotate. Fuck off. If I can
Enhance
do
further.
that, enhance further.
Zoom in further. Can you isolate this element?
No, wait, wasn't there one that they did a spoof where they're like zoom in, and like they zoom in into the reflection of the glasses, and then they reverse and enhance. And...
Yeah.
Fuck. Unbelievable.
I mean, we know shit doesn't work that way, so it's one of those things that's like, no.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, ignorance is bliss. Science has ruined everything for me. It's ruined the X-Men, it's ruined CSI somehow. I don't watch CSI, but I mean, it's ruined magic for me. Like, nothing, it's like, no, that can't be possible. No, you can't just disappear without having that mass transported somewhere. Like it just really annoying. There's an article
magical the magical technology isn't the part that annoys me the most about CSI. It's the idea that CSI crime scene investigators will then leave the lab and go interrogate the suspects instead of the fucking detectives.
Well, the crime scene.
That's not how that works.
They're not cops. The crime scene.
They're not cops, exactly.
Are not. I mean, they have their job. They wear specific padded uniforms, gloves. They don't even touch the corpse. That's the coroner that does the coroner that does that stuff. It's completely. You don't get some dude or some girl with high heels and sunglasses to be like doing this. No, that doesn't work. they don't do that.
No. Let's go to what I refer to as rule number 1 for a moment. The rule that all people are inherently stupid. And now imagine somebody that they've had, their spouse or some loved one or whatever has been murdered, and they go in there because the police have been investigating and it seems to be taking too long, and they go in there and ask them why don't they have the current equipment so they can tell the stuff to flip around and enhance.
Or they expect the DNA results to come back in a day.
Or more like 10 minutes.
Fucking hell.
I was about to say.
I played a lot of the CSI video games. It's fun if you ignore everything.
If you ignore the real world.
Yeah, if you ignore reality, yes. And it's funny because I've got my little role-playing game with all that stuff going on, and I have my stupid device. I have my mystery left over from the beginning of the universe that allows these mystical powers. I know it's stupid. I know it's cheesy. I know it's camp. But it's the only way to pull it into a world and make it feel like there's something going on. So I understand these kind of elements that you need to have this one stupid magical horseshit thing in there. I get that. But you don't need that in something like CS fucking I.
Sure, can I just change the track of the conversation here a little bit and really, really, really piss Alex off?
Any more than I am already.
I'm gonna do it. All right, I am going to do it. Do you know what film I actually thought was really, really very well done and totally underrated?
Hold on. Let me put my finger on the disconnect button.
Okay, brace yourself. All right, be prepared to click.
Is it Babe?
No, because if it's what I think it is, I will leave. I think there's only one film, maybe 1 or 2 films that'll do it for me. So
I tell you what, I'll not even say it. All right, I'll just show you. All right, I'll not even say it because I'll know you'll lose your shit. There you go. There it was.
King Kong.
Oh, okay.
Which one?
I rather thought recent? That movie was totally underrated.
Oh my god. Oh, that's fine.
Was that the most recent one?
That. Yeah, scientifically unlikely, but still.
Yeah, that's the that's the recent one, isn't it?
That was the recent one. Peter Jackson directing.
Peter Jackson one.
Jack Black, not in his worst role, not in his best, but not in his worst. I've seen him do a lot worse. But I rather enjoyed that film. I thought it was a much more. They turned the monster into a human, which is exactly what you're supposed to do with King Kong.
Yeah.
So I saw that movie in theaters I think twice, and I thoroughly enjoyed it each time.
Do you want to know which film would have gotten you an ultimate rage quit?
Actually, hang on. I have to comment though because I do remember that I watched it. I don't remember the movie that well, which says to me that there was parts that must have bored the fuck out of me.
Well, it was kind of long. It was a bit longer than it should have been.
A 3-hour film, yeah.
No such thing.
Titanic.
It was beauty that killed the beast.
Go on.
This film will end anybody.
Oh god, yeah, no.
Anybody.
No, Airbender was a piece of shit.
Jesus, they fucked that up about as well as they could have, I think.
Oh, did you see the show then?
Yeah, I saw it.
No, I just know a horrible film when I'm looking at it.
I saw the show.
Okay.
They did fuck it up. The show, actually, I have to say, was very well done.
I know, it's so good. I just
The
encourage
movie was
anybody
a
who's seen that
piece
movie
of
to watch
shit.
the show. It's so good.
I watched it, and the problem I had is they were running way too much stuff all together at once from different episodes that kind of.
You're talking about the film, right, Boom?
Yeah, the film.
Yeah, the film. Yeah, I think everybody.
The
agrees
film
it's
basically
shittiest
was a
crap.
sloppy highlights reel.
Yes.
Tied
Yeah.
together with exposition.
Yeah.
And they took away
Yes.
the firebender's ability to generate fire. Only select firebenders had that ability. It's like, no, everybody had that ability. That was
Let's get six guys to do a dance to move a fucking pebble.
Without
It's like and then like a little
Yeah.
tiny pebble lifts and like just goes
Yeah.
on the shield and kind of bounces slowly.
I mean,
the whole
yeah.
energy of the high action fight sequences that they've had in a cartoon were totally removed. It takes doing all this thing with the flipping with the bow staff and then a little bit of burst of wind and it's like, okay, really, like.
Well, the thing is that in the cartoon it took 2 steps to do earthbending. So it took 1 to stomp the ground, 2nd to punch and
Yep.
send it off. Same thing with pretty much everything. I mean, it was,
Yeah, for earthbending you needed to do douche kata.
Yeah. and that's the thing is that they were doing the Kia, what it's referred to, I think, is the Kia. It's when you do a set of moves to basically do, when you're doing training, you do a set of moves in order to earn your belt. That's what they were doing.
Oh, kata.
Kata, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just said it a moment ago.
Yeah.
It's douche kata. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not how you fight people whatsoever.
With CGI, though, I mean, they can do the kind of crap that they do in the damn cartoon. Yes, it'll be a lot of CGI, but fuck it. You go there for the effects. And, ooh, and you see this crappy floaty rock effect that was CGI'd anyway, that looked like it could have been riding on a string. Oh.
I mean, they could have easily done the exact same moves.
Yeah.
Had them have exactly the same amount of power, have them have exactly the same amount of effort required in order to do the move. But doing the whole dances was just like watching an old, the cats, not the cats, the what's the gangsters who the movie where they had the gangsters and they were snapping their fingers and just going ta-ta.
Oh, West Side Story.
Yeah, West Side Story, that's right.
I mean, I have no idea.
But yeah, it was like a West Side Story version of Elements.
Yeah, and I've been a big fan of Bagua and Chingy style martial arts, and to not see Ang doing those kind of pissed me off because I think it's a really beautiful internal martial arts style.
Yeah, I mean, they just fucked so much up with the way that they handled that. I mean, as I said, the show was actually really well done. And by the time you get to the whole thing with the Water Nation, that's the second season end of it or first season end of it? But I mean, you've gone through so much before, and by the time you get there, even the stupid fish thing makes sense by that point, and you can buy it because you've had all this crap beforehand to provide context. If you don't have that context, it's like, what's up with a fucking fish?
Exactly. And I saw this in eye-popping 3D.
I'm sorry.
Eye-popping.
Yeah.
The thing
Which
is
the worst
that-
part is I kept taking off my glasses and I'm like, look how vibrant the colors are. Oh, look how dull they are. Oh, look how vibrant they are. And I'm like, can I throw these things in the fucking garbage? Didn't help the movie, but it
Godzilla in 3D didn't really suffer from that problem too much.
It doesn't help a shitty movie. Any little stupid thing would have made that movie better. If they made the action a little bit tighter, would have made it better. I wouldn't have hated it as much as I did.
And the thing is that you're supposed, this should have been extended to like at least 3 movies, or however many book chapters there were, to at least because you can't just all rush it at once. But the thing is that Aang is supposed to be someone who's equivalent to Bruce Lee. He masters all of the different martial arts, so that way he can use them to their maximum abilities. And he's like, while he's learning on the way, he kind of messed up and all that kind of thing. But how are you gonna do that if you have no actual development? Because they're rushing through the whole damn thing too quickly.
I don't see how anybody can make this a movie. The series, the animated series, did so well. It's still significant. It still holds up. I've watched the series 3 times just because it's just that good. And I don't think I need a movie to see a live action film when the animated series does everything for me. You can't compact that amount of development in one film, even with a time lapse or a montage.
Well, actually, if I can cut in for a moment, I don't know whether you guys here are familiar with the Nostalgia Critic or not.
Yep.
Okay. And for anyone that watches that may be familiar, we're talking about somebody that will tear things apart, typically. And his commentary regarding this as a whole was that they hit every note. And that you don't hear from him, typically. So
the series.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen him praise anything as highly, and he's not one that really deals with anime much.
Yeah, no, he did. I don't even know where he
kept having people saying, "You've got to review this. You've got to see it."
He did an episode by episode. He did every episode, didn't he?
Yeah, and then he did an overview at the end.
Yeah, and then he did the review of the film.
Yeah.
And that was pretty funny, too.
How many episodes did they make?
24, like 75?
Yeah, right about.
I even like the new one, Adventures of
Legend of Korra?
Yeah, it's not nearly as good, though.
It's still good. It's not as good, but I still think it holds water.
I was told it got better in the second season. I watched the first and was not impressed.
1 episode. I think, no, wait, 2 episodes. I mean, the second series is good, of Legend of Korra. I think it's overall enjoyable, and I have a huge fake character crush on Bolin. But there's 2 episodes where they do a kind of a history of where the bending skills come from, and the art style changes completely to this kind of Asian style. Anyways, it's beautiful. It's just complete eye candy. I was so impressed, and everybody generally was. This was the highlight of the second series of Korra.
Huh. But I mean, it's
not the same thing. It's a spin-off show, but I think it's good.
Yeah, I know, but
I think it's really good, though.
Really pales in comparison to the original. As I said, I mean, the first season really didn't impress me all that much. I haven't watched past that, I will admit.
Well, that's kind of with any,
I guess.
Yeah, any first season tends to be, it's all right, but it goes better.
Yeah,
it didn't make me. I wasn't upset by anything. Maybe if anything, I'd be a little bit bored during some episodes.
Well,
I wouldn't be discouraged, or I think they're doing something wrong.
Well, what upset me about the first season was kind of how douchey Aang's
Tenzin. Yeah, his Aang's son.
Yeah, is it his son? I thought it was his grandson.
No, it's his son, Tenzin.
Is that the one who teaches her? Or
yeah, he's the voice of the guy. Oh fuck, he's that actor who plays J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man original series.
Who's got a teacher? Yeah, he's kind of douchey.
Yeah, but you end up understanding that afterwards in the second series. It's well done. I don't really care about the boyfriend-girlfriend thing, but there's enough comedy in both series.
The triangle thing, I got to make my standard objection here. Why does every fucking show or movie that has a female lead need some kind of fucking quasi-love triangle bullshit? Why? Anyway, sorry. It's not even a real question.
I know exactly what you're saying.
It's a bigger question, though, isn't it? I mean,
I'm watching Once Upon a Time. I just started. Please don't spoil anything. And I'm waiting for it. I know, like, you have, oh, great, I have a strong, independent woman main character. Let's get the love triangle going. And I know I'm just going to punch. I'm just going to throw my fucking iPad out the window.
As soon as, I tell you what, I watched that show just because there are girls in my house. It's coming.
Yeah,
Oh,
just leave it at that.
the love triangle's coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can fucking pin it. It's everyone.
Yeah, almost
'cause-
every fucking one.
I know one that didn't, and this was A Wrinkle in Time, and that is an old movie. Who had a strong female lead, but didn't do the love triangle. But she was in love with. She had a boyfriend, so
Yeah. I'm almost surprised they didn't add one.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
the way
it
things
would
go.
have been impossible to add one based on the characters you were dealing with. You were dealing with A, kids, really, really young kids, and B, everything's trying to kill you. Or no. Everyone's emotionally drained. There's no one who has emotions. Everybody's just emotionally robots. So having a love triangle, unless they brought in someone from her world, that would have been impossible.
Well, then in that case, it's yeah.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that's it for me. It's bedtime.
Yeah, I was about to say. I'll just talk
Yeah,
about
I
love
figured.
triangle. I'm about to have a love triangle with my left and right hand.
Oh,
They're gonna fight for your attention.
yeah.
Make it work for it.
I don't know. With how many times we end up talking about varied movies, I'm starting to think we should do a movie review show late night. Fuck.
I'm telling you what, that actually might be entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick something, catch it,
Yeah.
take a watch, come and rant.
If Lenny's on, I'm not gonna fucking watch.
Fuck you. Okay, I'm sorry you like bad things. Correct.
You know what though? You know what? I really like the fact. I thought about this earlier. I really like the fact that I don't agree with you.
Yeah.
Good.
On a lot of things, because if it was a fucking echo chamber, were we gonna pat each other on the back and stuff like that? No.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd give each other hugs and kisses and say how great we are. No, fuck that.
Well, that is one thing I like when I do my standard shuffles and what have you, is that, you normally see us in these hangouts where it's, here's the atheist talking to the theist, and the atheists seem to agree on everything, and it's like nice to mix things up and show that we're not just like the Borg or some such shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to talk about other fucking things sometimes.
It's nice to disagree. I'm not gonna. Maybe I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but I'm not gonna make a video response tomorrow.
Usually there might be a video response.
Joss Whedon is like the fucking god.
Oh, fuck me.
No, I liked I actually enjoyed Firefly, but hey.
It's easy to like,
But
but tell me
yeah.
why it's good. No one can. You just like it.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. There are certain guilty pleasure elements there, but I'll say this much: it's no fucking Babylon 5. That's for damn sure.
I didn't catch much of that, to be honest with you. I didn't catch just a little bit. I was still probably doing TNG when that was out. There was only room for one big sci-fi show in my life at a time. So
Yeah. Babylon 5, the first 4 seasons were pretty damn good. The fourth one, they kind of... They had to rush the ending because they didn't know they were getting a fifth, and then the fifth was shit because they thought that... Because, as far as they knew, they weren't going to get a fifth.
makes sense.
And by the way, if you want to talk about putting a god character in there, the Doctor's revelations, that's God mode. Yeah. The Doctor himself is that god character.
Nah.
All right.
Right, so-
Anyway, y'all have a good
Doing
night.
Doctor
Go
Who.
crash.
I'm going to bed before Doctor Who happens.
No, I did talking over each other.
And hopefully I can pull shit together and we can do the second part of the pirate meeting game tomorrow for those who couldn't attend. Blah, blah, blah.
Keep me in the loop.
Yep.
The Adventures of Baron Deloric.
Good night, all.
Night, children.
Yeah, the Baron's one of my favorites.
Oh, good night.
Just because he was only supposed to exist as a cameo. But anyway, Have a good one. And to those of you that watched, thanks for watching. Have a good night.
Good night.
Wrong button.